everybody. Welcome to the SyFy Sistas live show. I'm Sister Tamia. I'm here with Sister Yvette.
Hello.
Sister Sabrina.
Whoop, whoop.
And Sister Fran.
What's happening?
Hey, what's happening? This is the bestest live show anywhere y'all gonna catch. We got that for sure. And it's sponsored by For show. And it's sponsored by our friends at Oray's Silversmith out there in Colorado. Y'all, the live show's special sponsor is Oray's Silversmith. So please check them out. And you can get some SyFy Sistas jewelry from there, plus some other great silver jewelry. They're amazing. They're amazing. I'm telling you. We have a really cool show, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm. We do. You know, like somebody. Yeah,
what's up, chat?
Right. What's up, chat? Everything. I was born in 71, so it's like imbuing my soul right now. Like there's going to be lots of cats and can you dig it and you know.
I didn't know where you were going.
There's a lot going on right now. Like the 70s have taken over inside my soul, I think. I don't know what's going on. So we have a really special guest. Y'all know him as our favorite Vulcan, our first Black Vulcan, but this man is a Renaissance man who is so much more than a Vulcan. You know, he's an astronomer, he's a musician, he's a writer, he's a director, he's a phenomenal actor.
Emmy award-winning director.
That's right. Emmy award-winning director. Don't forget that. You know, and he's a hell of an activist. And we're really, really grateful that he's on the show tonight. It's Mr. Tim Russ, everybody. Say hi.
Hello.
Yay. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure.
We are like, somebody said, Cassandra said, goat. You got that right.
The chat is going off.
Oh, yeah.
We're so excited that you're here with us. I mean, first of all, I feel like you're somebody that we sisters have wanted to talk to for a long, long time. We're such huge admirers of yours. Both on the screen and, and off the screen. You're a man who, walks the shit that he talks, and we love that about you.
Mr. Vulcan, stop. That is the funniest thing on the internet. I wait for what he's going to say today.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes. Well, the forum, as it were, is only this century, that we're able to literally communicate with anyone on planet Earth in an instant. And that's pretty remarkable. That if anything will change society or civilization, it is certainly that. The impact is immeasurable. To be able to communicate, to reach out, to share your opinions, your work, your whatever it is you're doing, your information with anyone and everyone who has the internet it's just crazy. I mean, you get it out. You can get it on your cell phones. You don't have to even be on the internet. You can get it on your cell phones, and anything that happens, 2.5 minutes later, everybody knows about it. So this kind of sharing information is just, to me, if you stop and think about it, it is the most amazing and powerful and earth-shattering sort of thing that we could ever dream of. And we're just getting started with it. It has places to go. So
yeah, that's for sure. Well, I want to take us back a little bit. I want to back up a little bit, and I want to talk a little Trek before we get down to the real nitty-gritty.
Yeah.
And that's a great song, by the way. You guys go look it up and put it on as your soundtrack for this show. Let's
the real nitty-gritty.
To the real nitty-gritty.
Okay, we can't afford that.
That was all I was saying. That was all. Okay. That was it. I'm telling everybody go look it up. Anyway, I'm going to skip most of the normal Trek stuff. Okay, we're just going to talk to you. Were a Black alien, damn it, And we loved that. You were a Black Vulcan. First of all, I love the Vulcans. And I was like, thank God we have a Black Vulcan, somebody representing logic and thinking in order. When you got that role, I mean, were you thinking about the Blackness of it at the time too? Or how it fits into the context?
No, not really. What I was concerned with was making sure, because the character had already been established in the lore. What I was concerned with is making sure that the portrayal of that character was accurate, and that the fans would accept that character, me playing that character correctly. I wanted to make sure that the Vulcan is represented as they would expect him to be represented, not coming on there and messing it up or mangling or doing something different that wasn't believable with someone that's already been established. So if that was a brand new character that nobody ever heard of, well, then I could do whatever I want and work with the writers and create this type of role. But this was a character that had already been established, so I had to get that character right. First of all, for the producers, so I didn't get fired, and second of all, for the fans, so that they would appreciate me, and with that, be able to more than likely see past the fact that he was African American. And people still asked me about it. They were scratching their head or whatever on occasion. Who were supposed fans. And I was like, really, dude? Are you a fan? I mean, do you know the concept of the show? Infinite diversity and infinite combinations. That's exactly what DNA is, and what I said. Have you seen everybody? The people who live on Earth, do they all look the same? No, they don't. So why would they look the same on any other planet? Makes no sense. Right. So, if you were a true Trek devotee, you would know that was the case. So yeah, that's my first responsibility, was to get the character right.
Before we go any further, I'd just like to point out real quick, Larry Smith, who is in the chat, does the most remarkable cosplay of you. Yes. I've known Larry for quite some time, and he does not, everything has to be right with Larry. And when he's doing you, he makes sure he honors you. So I just wanted to put that out there real quick. Larry's a great friend.
Hey, Larry.
So I just wanted him to get his kudos out there.
Yeah, I believe I've met Larry. Some cons here and there.
Yeah.
Sorry. And may I interject? You played the Vulcan without a wig. You played it with your hair.
Yes, yeah, they did just alter they altered the hairline a little bit. That's all.
You know what I'm saying. But you didn't have those, like everybody on the planet there had this, Vulcan haircut.
Yeah, nope. Yeah.
And I know that's superficial, but it meant a lot to me. That you saw.
Yeah. They didn't even. The producers didn't even discuss.
They didn't even try it.
They were only looking at the hairline. That's all they decided. They will just alter the hairline and make it, a sort of African American version of that sort of look that everybody had, and that's all they did. So yeah.
Yeah, that was a good job on their part. Like that's
they were obsessed about hair. Just to be let you know. They were obsessed.
We've done a whole episode on Star Trek hair.
Poor Kate. Kate was the one that had to go through the hair.
Oh, yes, she did.
They just couldn't find anything that they really liked, so they kept changing it, whatever, I was like, guys, we're going to get on with the stories and
right.
We learn about the bloody hair,
Right. I think the only people that didn't get hair problem was probably DS9. Well, not the women. Poor Cisco did. Avery Brooks and his hair, but they left the women alone for that one
because he was taking up the whole fight.
Yeah,
that was the whole fight. Like that was a big fight.
That was a big fight. Yes, and you don't want to be in a big fight with Cisco.
No.
Do not mess with Avery, man. Do not do it. Do not think about doing it.
So they tell us.
Yeah,
right.
You're going to lose that one.
I believe you. They did.
Yep.
They really did.
So I know that you're pretty much like a lifelong Trekkie, right? You've been a Trekkie since you were young.
Well, the it's a misnomer that I was a Trekkie. What happened is that I watched, the shows. I tell everybody, well, you only had 3 channels back in
the day. That's right. That's right.
Since I can tell you as much about Trek as I can. Gilligan's Island, I Love Lucy, and Andy of Mayberry. I've seen them 100 million times. That's all they did was run reruns, and we watched them. There was nothing else to do. There was no VHS, no cable, no nothing. So, yes, I watched a lot of episodes over and over and over. And you can include the Twilight Zone. Let's not forget that. Every single one of them, I can tell you everything about those episodes and those shows as much as I can, Trek. That's all it comes down to. Okay. I have to admit that the stories for Trek, as everyone who has watched the show and loves it, were phenomenal stories. They were very cool stories, and Roddenberry set out to tell stories. That has been the theme and this concept of Trek ever since it came out, including Voyager. We're telling stories. It's not, Star Wars, man. It's Trek. There's a big difference. It's not 2 bad guys shooting it out in space. It's stories. Yeah. So I watched the series and I was very familiar with the show by the time I certainly got the role that I did. Yes, absolutely, because that's all we had. Yeah. Like I could say as much about the other shows as well.
Cool. I was wondering if, like, because of all the different places that you lived while you were growing up, if that gave you any type of affinity with the Star Trek philosophy and with IDIC, because it seemed, at least from on paper, what it says, it seems like you grew up in extremely diverse places, like circumstances are like all the time, like you were moving a lot.
Absolutely. What it did was allowed me to adapt to working as an actor. That's what it did. Wow. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of military brats that went into entertainment show business because you are in an unstable sort of, growing up that you don't know where you're going to be at any given time. You've got to adapt to new situations all the time. You don't know what's going to come, in a couple of months or a year, something's going to change. You work very closely with people. When you're in the entertainment business, you work closely with somebody in a show, and then they're gone. And that's how I grew up. I had friends, and then they were gone. Friends, and then they were gone. Friends, and they were gone. So, or I was gone. Somebody was going. So there's that close relationship, and then gone. And the show business is the same way. You work on a series or on a show, a play, or whatever, very intensely, and then all of a sudden, gone. Right. And the instability of the business, that's kind of the way it was. I was used to moving. I was used to being someplace else, used to adapting to something different. So adapting to the business in general, growing up that way, definitely lent itself to that sort of being able to do this, because not everybody is able to do this simply because of that. The insecurity, the unpredictability, of the business. That's the way it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. Not everybody's adapted to the stresses of particular career sets.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Like that's why I'm a tax accountant. We always stay in the office. The auditors went everywhere, and I hated that. You were in a different place every 2 weeks, and I was like, "Oh, different people, different place. I got to go someplace else. I don't know where the food is. I don't know where the water is." I said, "I just want to be a tax accountant, not to stay here all day." I get that, Tim. I get that.
I don't. I talk to people who grew up, in one place. Like they have a hometown that they actually grew up, went to school, graduated, did whatever. Sometimes they'll have to go to college and live somewhere else. But by that time, you're an adult. You're on your own, and you're spreading your wings and going. But to have that home base all the way up through the time you're 18 or 20 I don't know what that's like. I can't remember. I can't remember the places that I lived in. It's all fragments of memories. That's what it is. So it's not, and it really doesn't count. After moving to LA and being here as long as I have, doesn't count. It's not the same thing. Growing up, you are forming all of your identity. You're forming your awareness, your consciousness, your experiences are all being formed in that span of time from birth to 1820. So that's when you're most malleable. That's when you're most affected by what's around you, and impressed, and your impressions are made at that point. So the impressions I had were moving every 2 years or so.
Well, I'm gonna say it like you were dropped on this earth in Washington, D.C. So yes. As a DC girl, I'm claiming you. Like, I don't care nothing about the rest of that moving around. You were dropped here in Chocolate City, and we claiming you.
Will do. Will do.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
That's it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm going to ask you about a different fandom, but before I get to that, I wanted to ask you about the films that you made, Star Trek of Gods and Men,
yes.
and Renegades, Star Trek Renegades.
Mm-hmm.
Why did yes, that's right, DC is in the house. Why did you want to why was it important to do those films for you?
Those were work that came my way. Both of those projects were a phone call, random phone call in the afternoon. Producer said, we've got a project we're working on. We'd like you to be involved with it. And in both cases, wait a minute. So the first one, at least Gods and Men, there was no script written when he contacted me.
Wow.
So we sort of worked together on a basic outline for a story, and then he hired a couple of writers to write it. And then Renegades, I think, was almost the same. I think he had started writing Renegades when they asked me to come out and do it. He did that. I was just contacted and asked to shoot it and to be in it. Cool. And so because they had enough money to roll on both of those projects, so at least I had the resources to work with that would be decent enough to carry it off. Because science fiction is, man, it's expensive and it's really logistically difficult to do. So you got to have the resources to do it right, and they had enough of the resources to make it happen, especially in Renegades, and we pulled it together. And it's directing gigs. Both of those were directing gigs, and I need to have those credits. I need the footage. I need all that stuff to have as part of my record. So people call me about projects. The only ones that have not happened are the ones that didn't happen. Because the producers couldn't put it together, or because the scripts were so bad that I told them it's not shootable. You've got to fix them and whatever, and then they either did or didn't chose not to do so. But in these cases, the scripts were good enough to go ahead and put together, and so were the resources. So those were, if they came to me and said we want to shoot a project that looks like Baywatch, sign me up. I'm ready to go. It's a gig, and it was going to be a fairly decent challenge because it was science fiction, so you can have some fun with that, and some creative opportunities, and they had the funding and they could pay and all that good stuff. It's a gig, man. Acting work, directing work, music work, whatever comes, it's work.
Yeah,
I'm here. If I was in Pennsylvania, I'd have been working in the coal mines or doing something else. In Detroit, working at the car factory. No, here, that's the job. That's the gig. Wow. They're all gigs, flat out. And I've shot all kinds of stuff, all kinds of genres. But it depends on when they happen and when they come. And I'll take them. If the script's good, I'll shoot it. So yeah, that was, and I knew the producer. I'd known him from before then. So we worked together on some stuff before that. So cool. I said, yeah, sure, absolutely. Sign me up, man.
So how did the ElfQuest audio movie come about?
ElfQuest audio, wait a minute. Wasn't that a game? Wasn't that a video game or no? Was it a film feature?
I thought it was Tanya, tell me if I'm wrong, Tanya. I thought it was
the audio movie.
Voice work. I thought it was an audio movie.
Wow. Okay. Well, there you go.
It was that gig.
First of all, yeah, they don't ever give me the title of the project when I work on it. They don't. It's a cover title. It's something they made up so that nobody knows what it is. You know, it's like being in the CIA in this business anymore. You know, it's NDAs and fake names and whatever. It's like, oh my God, whatever. I'm not going to tell anybody that. And so they give me. So, and they also don't tell you when it's released. They don't send you anything.
Wow.
They don't give you anything. So half the time I don't even know what it is or where it is till somebody comes up to me and says, oh, you're great in such and such. I don't even know what the project was because at the time it was a different name than what it is when it comes out. So the voiceover stuff, there was only one. I don't remember what I did in ElfQuest. I couldn't tell you right now.
There's a lot of people telling you in the chat right now.
They're telling
us it's Sun Toucher. Yes, all the ElfQuest fans out there.
Toucher. Oh yes, okay. It's coming back to me. It's coming back to me. Sun Toucher. Okay, now
audio book series. They say.
Yeah, we also do a ElfQuest podcast. So we have a lot of ElfQuest fans in the audience. They came here for Sun Toucher.
Did they have any artwork? Was there any art for that kid? Did they ever show that character what he looked like?
Yes.
Yes.
Amazing. Because
fierce.
I was in Horizon, Horizon. A video game. I think it's a video game. Something Horizon. I mean, that just recently came out like last year or something like that. And I know that I did the voices for that, and I didn't know what the character looked like when I did the recording of the voice. And I saw the character and I realized, oh my God, that's totally the wrong voice.
Oh, wow.
For what this character looked like. And by that time, it was way too late. So now I'm trying to, if I get one of these gigs, I have to try to get, usually they're pretty good about it. They have at least a sketch of what it looks like because it's early on in the process. Those things take 2 years to finish. So I now at least try to get an idea what the character looks like so that I can match my voice to it. Otherwise, man, I saw that thing and I was like, it was very successful. People talked about it, they loved it. I just personally didn't like the voice match for what that character looked like. So again, I don't have all the information from these gigs, They'll tell me what they like. They'll tell me what they want. And then I just do it. And sometimes nowadays I'm trying to get an idea what this character looks like so I can really match, the animation when they put it together. Otherwise it looks silly. So so the ElfQuest Sun. Yes, I remember the name Sun Toucher. I do remember.
Sun Toucher was Shen Shen's father.
He was a spiritual. I think he's a spiritual. I think he's their spiritual leader. He was a spiritual leader. He was like a shaman. Is that right? Do I have that right?
Right. Let's go to the comments first. Come on, chat. I can hear you in the chat. All of a sudden, y'all got.
All of a sudden, the chat is quiet.
Like, come on, the man is asking you a direct question. Where y'all at?
They silent. Lita's dad
and Shen Shen. Oh my God! See,
he was blind.
There it is. No. Yes, he could sense things even though he could not see. So he was spiritual. He had guidance.
Okay, I know which. Oh, this is good. I know which one.
That's what it is. That's what it was. Yeah, I remember now.
Wait, I just would give advice 2 weeks ago. So
yeah, he would. I know
we just popped ElfQuest into you onto you all out of the blue and everything.
I if I go on my own IMDb page, I don't recognize half the stuff that's on there. So it's a movie. It's actually a movie?
No, it was audio.
It was an audio drama.
Audio drama. So it's just an audio drama.
Yes.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. So it's just voices. Yeah. But it's a ElfQuest has been around, I think, for like 40 years, right?
Yeah, since the 70s.
40 years.
Yeah. It was the first independent comic, first successful independent comic. And it's been around for a long, long time. And they have fans that are just as dedicated as Trek fans just as intricate and just as knowledgeable. 1978, Nicole's telling me, 46 years, Tanya says.
46. So is it, it was out. I mean, Marvel and DC have been out longer, right? Marvel and DC have been out longer.
Yeah.
This came later, but this was in that genre.
Yeah.
It was turned down, right, guys? Right, ElfQuest
so.
fans out there, Wolfpack. It was turned down, Wolf Riders. Like Marvel and DC both like turned him down, and then Wendy and Richard Pini started producing it on their own, and it became an instant like cult hit, and then they've been doing it themselves since then.
So 46 years ago, what was how did it come out? Was it a book? Was it a comic? Was it a graphic novel?
And
graphic novels. Yep.
Okay.
All right. It was originally comics.
Now they have been bound into volumes, and I've spent money getting the entire big volume so I can read all these comics. Wow. I'm totally into it now. I
had no idea about any of that.
And crazy. Richard and Wendy are both huge Star Trek fans.
Yes.
So, which is
I know Wendy at least was at the very first Star Trek convention, and they continued to go to many conventions throughout the years. So there's a lot of thematic play that when you start reading ElfQuest, it's similar questions that are coming up, very Star Trek-y questions. There's a lot of kinship.
Yeah, it's interesting because the genres are they're very different genres.
Yes.
They're not I mean, they're science fiction or sci-fantasy. Is it sci-fantasy or is it fantasy? What is that? Sci-fantasy or fantasy? I think it's fantasy.
Fantasy.
It's fantasy.
Yeah, it's just fantasy.
Okay.
But it's storytelling. It's great storytelling.
That's what it is.
That's what holds it together. And
you gotta have the storytelling, man. It's very important. You gotta have a good story. Pure and simple.
Right. 46 years, you gotta have a good story.
Right. You gotta write something. If you can hook me with a story that's 46 years old, and you could still hook me.
Yeah.
Wow. That's pretty. That's remarkable.
And you were in it.
Yes.
I was in it. Yeah. I had to be reminded of the details, but yes, I was in it.
But it just shows you, the work, no matter if it is just a job, you do good work. No matter what it is, you're still putting, that's why we love you. It might just be a job, but we know when you do a job, you're doing the job.
Oh, right? Yeah. I mean, it's once you get the job and you have the gig and you have the obligation to get it, you got to get it right. You can't half-ass it. You got to get it the way it should be, and do it right. Absolutely. And as far as that, to this day, and even I spent almost all of last month. We were in Vegas. I was in Kansas City. I was in England. I was in Detroit, Lansing, Michigan, at cons for like 4 weeks in a row. I was traveling, and I had even then I had the same thing happen. From my perspective, it's work. From my perspective, it's a job. From my perspective, I memorize a bunch of dialogue. I go to the set, I hit my mark, say my lines, and get it right, and then go home. And I don't think about anything after that. And the craziness is, and we all get some of it in some form, what happens when it appears all put together in a story on that box, on that screen, you're transformed into something else. You're transformed, you're elevated, you're exaggerated. Whatever it is you have is completely, people have told me, and I know countless times, that their lives were in a free fall. They were in a spiral. They were going down, and that character brought them up. And I was like, "You have got to be kidding me, man!" From an actor standpoint, I'm trying to put the two of those together. It's difficult to compute from my perspective. Seeing that, something happens in that process to human beings. It's almost like and use an example. There was a professor who had a class, and he told the students, he was I think it was in a science class of some type, and he he pulled out this fountain pen, which is a very fancy looking, sort of a classical antique looking fountain pen. And he said this fountain pen used to belong to Albert Einstein. And the class was just amazed. And he passed it around. He offered it to somebody. They passed it around and they were just looking at it and they were like, it was incredible. They were holding this fountain pen from somebody like Albert Einstein, used to write equations with this fountain pen. And then after he passed it around, he told everybody, that fountain pen actually belongs to me. It's my personal pen. Einstein. The point that he was making is that they endowed that fountain pen with spiritual essence. They made that fountain pen more than what it was simply by him telling them that. Mm-hmm. That's how easy it is for human beings to be transformed by something for the magic, as it were, to seep in. And I think there's something about that with this character. These characters, the characters you see, it doesn't have to be Trek. It could be something else where they just pull you in. Music the same way. What is it? Mm-hmm. What is it that it just reaches into your soul, man, and grabs you? From that perspective, it changes what you've done. All I'm doing is walking. I'm saying some dialogue and walking across stage. I'm playing a character. There is an emotion. There is something that the character is giving you, but it has a profound effect on the other side to people, right. Not everyone, but, individuals. And it's just a very strange thing. And I've always wondered about it. And I don't know, someday I'll talk to a psychologist and see what they say. So.
I think I love it too. I mean, I think that's that's story, right? That's truly the power of story and why story is so important. It's so transformative. Like you said, I mean, it reaches into your soul and touches us in ways that, exposition or talking conversation cannot do, and I think that that's the beauty of why we need art. Because, we can explain the world through sciences and it's very logical and it's like, and we just, we get it on a rational level, but I don't get it on a subatomic level. Right? And there's many more ways of understanding the world than we give ourselves credit for knowing and experiencing.
And the difference is in that, because you can also make the same analogy with music. I mean, you be able to meet, if you have somebody that you have just bloody idolized your entire life, musically, they have spoken to you, because we know how music it's just magic. It's crazy and it's magical how it speaks to you, and it's a particular artist, and you have a chance to meet them. And you are floating 2.5 feet off the ground, man, because you are in awe of that individual who is just a human being like yourself.
That's right.
They have the same issue. They're gonna put their pants on one leg at a time. They go to sleep. They get up. They eat. They're the same. They're human beings, and they've created this stuff that has reached into your soul to the point where when you see them, they are not just normal human beings. They are supernatural in your eyes, right? And everybody's going to have it. It's going to be different for everyone. Literally everyone is going to be different for, right? For me, I would have something similar for some of the artists that I've grown up with and listened to, but for me, I had the experience of being on the Paramount lot, and we had a big publicity thing we had going on. There were a lot of guests that were there, special guests, and there was somebody at the time, at some point in time in the evening, where it was wanting to get my autograph or something. And at the same time, I was chasing someone else to get their autograph. That person I was chasing was Buzz Aldrin.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I gotta get that.
Yes.
And, so it was an absolute thrill for me to meet him, because he was a historic figure who actually did the real thing. So again, I'm perceiving him as much more than just the guy sitting next to me at the table. So there is that thing. It transforms our perception of people and how we see them in terms of what they have done and what they've accomplished and how that reaches out to you. Now, somebody else may not think that his accomplishment was all such a big deal, but to me, it was profound.
Yeah.
If they are, they're not in this chat because the chat is going off.
They are going crazy about Buzz. Buzz is the man.
I was in one similar situation not long ago, and I was only 10 feet from them, but I could not get to them. I could not get to them because everyone else was trying to get to them. That was Jane Goodall.
Oh,
get a chance.
You just pulling them out, Mr. Russ.
I 10 feet, man. I was on my way, and I couldn't get to them, and then the moment went by, and I missed it. That was it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Speaking of music, I told a friend of mine the other day, she was talking about service and the talk shows and stuff. I'm like, you know what? When I'm in my car, I don't want to hear no talk shows. I don't want to hear no news. It is so, I just want music.
Yes.
Music. I don't want all that other stuff. You know?
And my playlist, not the radio.
Right.
Oh yeah. Yes, our playlists.
Yes, I'm from the Mixtape Generation.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's exactly what it is.
I'm from the generation where they put the little disc in it. Tim, you can relate. They put the little disc in there, and stack the records up, and then they will fall down. That was our playlist.
Yeah, that's mine. Wait a minute, the 45 with the little thing in the middle.
That's right.
Yes.
That little yellow thing that would break every time.
Broke it.
I hated that thing.
Spindle. It was a spindle.
It was a spindle. 45. Yeah, 45s. Dropping down. With that one speaker that it was playing out of, that one busted up speaker that you had turned up all the way, so it was distorting. Yeah, but it was so cool.
Yeah, you're right, Tanya. Unless it's the SyFy Sistas podcast.
That's right. Thank you, Tanya.
Then make sure that's what you listen to first. Then turn on the music.
Then go find your spindle.
Right.
Play whatever you want.
Playlist together. Because I thought I was something. Talking about technology, I thought I was something with my little transistor radio and that one thing sticking in my ear, and I'm walking down the street dancing because I had music in my ear. One ear.
That's right. I had my cassette player. Yeah, put that cassette in there, that tape. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah,
that's happening, man. Remember the Watchmen thing?
Oh my God! Somebody on Facebook yesterday had a meme that came a comic, and it said, like it was like, you're of a certain age if you recognize this, and it was all these cassette tapes in a hospital room, in an operating room, and the cassette was on the bed with all the tape wound out. The doctor goes, pencil.
That's right.
That's right.
I love that.
You had to wind them back up. Man alive.
Brilliant.
Oh my goodness. Oh brother.
Yeah, because I mean that's how you know something is powerful. Like we are sitting there trying to mend the medium, fix the medium on which we're hearing it. Like we spent how many hours did y'all spend winding a tape back, or God forbid if it had gotten twisted.
Oh, that crease.
That
damn crease. That damn crease.
Yeah, so the song would warble.
Yeah,
every time it went by that one spot.
Yeah.
But that's what we had it going on. That's what it was. That was what it was. And in terms of the tech, I try to explain to the the youngins. I try to explain to them that I grew up, and most of us grew up where the tech would hit a plateau and it's going to level off, and nothing changed for a long time. You had TV, you had a radio, you had a cassette player, records.
How many years?
Oh, he froze.
He froze a little.
White television, and it was, we had it for a long time, and it colored TV and And now the tech just goes straight up like this, and there's no stopping it. It's never going to plateau. It's never going to stop. And that, again, is revolutionary when it comes to how we function in our society. This is craziness, man. It's madness. All you're doing is chasing this tech ghost. You're chasing this creature that's always 2 feet in front of you, 2 steps ahead of you, trying to keep up with it, man. If you go, you can't. You go, what is it on the airplane? We used to get a book of tickets and like to buy 3 or 4 or 5, 6 tickets. You used to give you paper tickets, and there'd be like 4 or 5 or 6 of them. And he's telling me every step you went, somebody would take a layer of that ticket off. And now you can't go to a concert without having your cell phone with the QR code thingy on it, the scanner thing. You're not gonna be able to do anything if you are not able to keep up with whatever the tech of the day is.
Right.
The simplest things are going to be out of your reach. Beyond your reach.
Absolutely. Brilliant book about that was written in, I can't remember the year of the book. I read it like in the 90s by Werner Vinge, like classic sci-fi author, called The Rainbow's End. If anybody out there has read it, let me know. But these are the questions that they're asking. The man is basically frozen. He's got like cancer or something. His family freezes him, and then he wakes up like 60 years later, 70 years later, and it's about how much technology has passed him by. There's been this singularity. There's been this where we are now. Like AI is happening. It's a thing. Like the whole world is transformed by it. Kids are in school. He's like looking at his grandkids that he doesn't know yet, and he's like, where are your books and your backpack as you're walking to school? And they're like, Dad, we have a tablet. And he's like, how do you learn anything? And they like, where's the library? Don't you guys know how to research? And the whole thing is like, how are people learning at this point? They're not learning to I remember when I had to do reports and I had to go look up like, who are the Keystone Cops? Like, who are like you had to go to the library, pull out an encyclopedia or several books, read some stuff right down there. It was all about the questions that you're asking to find the answer. That's how they were getting graded. Who could ask it's a brilliant, brilliant book. It's called The Rainbow's End, and I highly, highly recommend it. But these are the questions that they're talking about, like they're looking at. That we are at this point that, like you said, you can't put the genie back in the bottle. Like it is never things. These kids, it's normal for them to have everything changed every day. Like they're having, they don't even recognize how mind-boggling these advances are because they happen so continually. They just assume this is the way the world is. You know what it is? And it is for them.
Yeah, this is normal. And we're looking at this today. And, I told my daughter, I said, by the time your kids are grown up, your learning may be intravenous. It may be plug you in and you get all the knowledge that everything's done like a computer. They just upload it to your brain and we're out of here. That is going to happen eventually. It's I don't know how long down the line, but that's going to happen eventually. There won't be reading data, whatever, none of that stuff. I told her, I said, your kid's going to look at you and say, you used to hold a cell phone? You used to actually push the buttons? Right? Really? You had a cell phone? Yeah, you had a cell phone.
You had an actual thing that you held? Exactly.
You had a laptop? You had a computer? Yeah. All that is coming. Every last bit of it is coming.
Yeah.
It ain't going to work any better. I can tell you that.
No.
It's still going to be screwed up.
Definitely.
The Matrix has So let me wrangle this back a little bit, and because we do have important stuff that we want to talk to you about before. I mean, other important stuff. I mean, not like that. Before we have to let you go, and then one of those constancies, I hope that we will have in the future is voting, right? Mm-hmm. Like we have. I feel like for the first time in my life, I feel uncertain about this being an actual right of mine, right? Like I grew up my whole 53 years believing that this is my right. And then we had this orange guy for president. And then we have these horrible people who are not really Republicans, but whatever, like usurping our rights at every step, repealing laws, bringing back Jim Crow laws, as much as they possibly can. And I realized that my future is uncertain. That I don't take for granted anymore the right to vote.
Yeah. The what is remarkable, and I've posted it a number of times, I think in the past, that is that our the founding fathers, be they flawed or not in terms of what their lifestyles were at the time, and I know many of them owned slaves, etc. But they put the Constitution together, a democratic platform to operate this country, because the country was under a monarchy before that. So once they set up this framework to operate this country, think about this for a minute. They put together this framework that can actually function 250 years into the future. 250 years, 2.5 centuries into the future. If you drop them in the middle of Times Square today, their heads would explode. Their heads would explode. They wouldn't know what to do. They wouldn't know which way to turn. They wouldn't know anything about anything. If take that and now put together the Constitution that is supposed to govern a country 250 years from today. Can you imagine trying to do that? Given what would society be like 2.5 centuries from now, given the trajectory we're on, and including the entire globe? Yeah. They still managed to put this process. This process still works today.
Still works. Yeah.
And it is now today being tested by an individual. And I'll say this: I think that you're only going to see something like this the same way in which the waves on a beach come into shore. Small, 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 small. Oh my God, there's a big one. Small, 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 small. Oh my God, there's a big one. Trump is a wave. He's a big wave. And you're not going to see that wave for a while. There's not going to be anybody like him for a long time. I can tell you that. He'll be gone, and whatever. That's it. There'll be people who want to be, people who try to be, whatever. Nobody's going to be like that freak. He's a freak of nature.
Yeah.
He is a mutant. He is a freak of nature. He is the most extraordinarily worst human being on this earth. And he got elected as president.
That's right.
That's a freak. All of that is freak, mutant, crazy. And it's a one-time thing. There will be parties, there will be movements, there will be activists, there will be whatever down the line. But I think once we're past this transition, which I think we will be, that's going to go away. And I think they're going to fragment. They're going to do something else. There is no stopping. There is no stopping us. There is no stopping the movement that we are in. There is no stopping the attitude. The young people ain't going to put up with it. They're not going to. They don't have to. They have no point of reference to her. They're just going forward.
Yep.
They are part of a global community. They're in touch, what was I saying earlier, with the entire world.
Yep.
We're in touch with everybody all at the same time. They are growing up with people who are gay, who are trans. What does that mean to them? Absolutely nothing.
Absolutely.
They don't have all of that nonsense to worry about. These folks following Trump, man, they ain't going to be around that long. They're going to be gone, man. That's it. And they're not going to be able to convert all these people. That movement is as much as it is, which is basically, it's caste. The movie Origin talks about caste. It's a caste system in our country, which is unique. The United States is not that old, only 250 years old. We're babes in the woods. So our test, we had one before, we've got another one now. And we'll get over this hump, and I think it'll be fine. The Democrats finally did something that was unprecedented. Finally got the unprecedented button.
Finally.
And we shook the hell out of them. And so now we have the upper hand.
Yeah.
And I definitely believe that the odds are in our favor, and that we're going to make it through. It just, the people in charge need to do what they're supposed to do. That to me is the most important thing. People who are in charge. It sure shit ain't me. I'm not in charge.
Right.
We're not. We're not making decisions, man. Nope. We're not. Doing this. The DOJ, the Congress, they got to do the things that need to be done.
Yep.
You can see it as plain as the nose on your face, right in front of you. You've got to make the efforts. You got to do the thing. I'll give you an example. The voting situation in Georgia. Oof. Absolute utter nonsense. That is absolute insanity. Where is the DOJ? Where's the DOJ? Where is the Justice Department?
Thank you.
That has a civil rights division. They have a civil rights division. Where are they? Why are they not challenging any of the laws or any of the threats that election officials are talking about making, denying certification? Where are they? Mm-hmm. They should be right here on somebody's microphone, because it's got to be on a microphone and a camera. As Trump says, got to be on a microphone and a camera, right there, saying to anybody who's thinking about any shenanigans, we will be on your ass. Mm-hmm. Okay, if you even think about it, and that will shut all that shit down. It'll shut down. Next day there'll be crickets.
But never gonna happen.
Those people need to step forward. They have the power and the authority and the responsibility to say, you cannot do this. My God, we've had elections since we've had elections.
Yes.
And we've never had any problems with the elections since we've had elections. Up until this ass in one election, has to turn the entire thing upside down. It's just madness, man. Yeah. And somebody has to take responsibility. The activists and ourselves and whatever, we can bark and scream and holler. Somebody has to do that fucking job, man. That's not me. It's not my job.
Right.
It's not our job. It's their job to do the goddamn job, man. And pull the plug on all this nonsense. This is nonsense.
Yeah.
It really is.
I mean, we can't even get the voting rights amendment passed.
Right.
I mean, So I know you're saying that, voting has always been something that both parties don't want the regular everyday person to do because it's too much power, So I've been working in the government for the last 30 years, and I don't think it's ever going to change because voting, people don't think it's important. And I think that's why we have to, like us, people who people listen to once a week, have to keep saying you got to go out there and vote, because that is the only power you really have. Unfortunately, electoral college is.
Well, getting people to vote is one thing.
Yeah.
But suppressing the right to vote, that's another.
But people have been suppressing the right to vote forever. I mean, it's not new. It's not new.
But I think, we have not had this kind of issue before. I mean, I grew up going to the polls. I voted and it was never a problem. Just 10 years ago, 14 years ago, 15 years ago, there was not. The voter suppression laws blew up after 2020 because Trump gave them an excuse, a reason to come up with laws based on obviously nothing but fabricated nonsense. But they gave them the impetus and the motivation to come up with these laws. We didn't have those kinds of restricted laws in my lifetime that I was growing up. We never had those issues. If people, getting people to vote, that's an entirely different, beast. But to actually come out and pass laws that say you cannot do XXX, which takes away people's ability to get to the polls and to vote, to take away the polling places, to take away the ballot boxes, to take away the early voting, to take away all that stuff, to kick you off the voter rolls arbitrarily, just for whatever reason we can make up. That kind of stuff was not in existence before 2020. It was not there. The Voting Rights Act, all you need is a Democratic House and Senate and a president. And people have to understand you need a Democratic House and Senate. You can't do it without a Democratic.
You have to vote the whole ballot.
Yeah.
Yes.
Those local elections are extremely important.
Yeah.
Voting for governor is probably the most important thing you could ever do. Because if you don't have the right governor, that's the way the country goes.
That's it. And state legislatures as well.
Yes. Yeah.
These people will vote for a Democratic governor and then vote a Republican state legislature. What are you doing?
And then what's going on in your school, in your schooling for your,
school board.
I mean, like,
school board.
how did that happen? Like,
how did that?
Like
on that school board.
Oh,
get on that school. But I mean, one of the things that I would like to encourage people to do as well, is that, I mean, find a way to get active in your local community. Not everybody is made for politics, and not even on the local level. But if you are, and if you have a mouth that likes to run, if you care about your neighborhood, like say that it is your school board, say you do have issues like, oh my God, they're trying to ban books in my kids' school.
Yeah.
Well, get on the school, see if make a run for the school board, so that you don't have school boards stacked with,
or at least just go to the meetings.
Just go to the
or
meetings.
go to the meetings. Or go to the
yeah.
meetings. Right. You don't have to run for a position. I think, like, I look at all the open meetings that we have locally here in DC, for each ward, in the ANC commission. The ANCs have meetings, and here's a public hearing about this road work that's going to be done. There's a public hearing about this decision or that decision. And it's only ever the same people in these public. Well, first of all, they hold public hearings at times when people are still at work. I mean, that's another issue.
And that's
they really don't want people to be involved. But if you can find a way to be involved, you can write into your elected officials, and make your voice heard. There's so many ways to be involved that are outside of just voting.
Yeah, I 100%. And earlier shout out to obviously to Larry Smith, and also to Linda Saruchis from Arizona, which is now going purple. So the progress is being made, in these states. The progress is being made. It is. They have stirred up the pot, because the Democrats before that were pretty much fast asleep.
Oh, so complacent.
They have we're hibernation while they were just running over everything, and have been for about 50 years. They have been trying for about 50, 60 years, a long time, actually. They've been fighting since Social Security was enacted. They didn't want that. They have been at it because, as they like to accuse us of having, the deep state, the real deep state that exists are those people who have all of the money. Those people have all the money, have all of the leverage, right? They have bought the judges, which have given them even more leverage, right? With Citizens United. They buy the congressmen, the senators, they buy everything. They have access. They get their phone calls answered in real time. Okay? You and I ain't getting no phone calls. Nope, forget it. I don't care who you're calling. You ain't going to get them on the phone. They'll get somebody on the phone. They can go to the $100,000 a plate dinners. Everybody else cannot. And they can sit there and they can say, Senator, Congressman, this is what I need. This is what I want. It has nothing to do with you. It only has to do with them. It's a handful of people. That is the deep state. Those are the people who are manipulating literally everything. Because God knows they don't want to pay anybody's taxes. They don't give a rat's ass about about you and grandma and your parents and your brother and your sister and your disabled kid and whatever you got going on, your rent, your bills, your groceries. They don't care about any of that shit. They don't cook their food. Somebody goes and buys it for them. Somebody cooks it for them. Somebody cleans it up for them. They don't go to your airport and sit around waiting for Southwest. They got their own airport with their own jet and then their own helicopter. They ain't sitting in traffic. They don't deal with any of this shit. It doesn't matter to them who the president is, because they're billionaires. They have everything. What the fuck do they care? They pay an entire corporation to do their taxes.
That's right.
So they don't need it. So the rest of us that run the goddamn planet, everybody else, man, the worker bees, they're the ones who need it. And until that shift is made and the priority becomes the worker bees and not the 12 people that got everything, then that's just it. That's the hurdle we have to come over. That's literally what's happening. They own the media companies. They own Fox. They own Sinclair. They own 800 radio stations across the country. Not supposed to, but they do.
Right.
And they are the ones that put out, what is it? It's not what is it? What's his name used to say that used to be in charge of one of the big media companies? It's not the messenger, it's the message. That's what he used to say. It's not about the messenger, it's about the message. They have all of the outlets for their message, which is against the government, so that they can get rid of the government. The government's a thorn in their side. They don't want the regulations. They don't want to pay the taxes. And that is the mountain. That's the top. That's the thing that we're pushing up against. Solely that's it. They pay for the campaigns. They put the money into the senators and the state. They put the money in the governors. They put the money in the president. They put the money in the Supreme Court. They put the money to all those places to get what they want. And they've been trying for 50 years. And now they finally got there. So now is the time that we're awake. We have to move back on that. And I'm not running for Congress. I am not running. No goddamn way am I putting my hat in that race.
You as smart as you look.
That's right. That's right.
Don't do it.
That's madness. That job.
I tell you, we've got we got one shot here, folks, and this equivocating about, Kamala did this, is that, I don't want to hear. I couldn't care less. Let me tell you how much I could care. I could care less. Okay. Yes. We have a choice. This is not one of those let me split hairs thing. There are huge gulfs of differences between these two people and the agendas that they are proposing. One wants to subjugate my black ass and every poor other motherfucker out here. Period. Right. End of discussion. Right. The other one wants to lift us up. It's a really simple choice. There is no middle ground. There is no, I don't care what you say. I'm all for y'all to vote, but I'm saying if you want to see me alive after the election and people not actively hunting my ass when I drive into Virginia, then you need to vote for Kamala Harris. Okay. Period. End of discussion.
The discussion. There's no such thing with those two, the lesser of the two evils. There is no comparison.
Not even close. Not even close. And women,
punch them in their throat.
For God's sakes, the ladies, man, have been crucified by this party. Crucified nationwide. They have a target on you that I don't. I understand why it is and where it's coming from. I understand. I get it. It's they want to go back to the 1950s crowd. I understand. Wow. I get that. But it's really, to me, the same way that we keep seeing, some African Americans or Latinos or whatever, and women voting for Trump, which is fucking mind-boggling.
Saw a brother up on the news the other day talking about he was going to vote for Trump.
I think Tamia put it the best way. Sometimes there's house Negroes and sometimes there's slave Negroes.
As this Angela said, they're making biscuits. They're biscuit makers. Look, at the end of the day, some of them are being paid. They're propagandists and they're being paid. Candace Owens and a few others. I get that. We understand that. But there's others. I mean, Robinson out of North Carolina. I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't even understand that one.
What planet this dude is on?
I just don't get it.
He has got to be getting a check. There's no other reason.
Better be.
No other reason. And I mean a big check. Because
better be getting a big ass check.
He is crazy as the day is long. I mean, crazy. You can't. I mean, he's bad mouthing the children who were slaughtered in the schools with assault weapons.
Yeah,
he's making fun of them. Dude, you understand that's man? You know what's his name? Just paid a whole lot of money for doing that. What planet are you getting off on, man? You're an African American man. In another goddamn state, they drag you behind a fucking pickup truck in chains and laugh at your ass.
Period. That was doing it in North Carolina.
North Carolina. You fucking idiot.
They do it in New York City.
What are you talking about? Going to visit my great-grandmother in a Hoskin, North Carolina, driving past Klan rallies. Come on. It's there. It's not. And they haven't gone anywhere. That's all I'm saying. What? I can feed his ass to those Klansmen. That's fine. That's one less for Darwin. Like take that one out.
I ain't gotta outrun them, but I definitely can outrun you.
I'm not fighting for that.
And I am sorry to say, and I will say it, I am sorry, but I have lost all my patience with all of them. I have no patience for them. I don't care about any of them. I am not going to reach out to them. I'm not going to have sympathy for them or empathy for them. If they choose to be that goddamn ignorant and backwards and hateful and racist, then you don't get anything from me. Yeah. You get whatever in the hell it is you deserve, and that's the end of it.
Exactly. You made your bed. You made your choices. You get what you get.
I'm done with all. Oh, just give them. You have to. No. No. You're going to learn the hard way. Yep. You're going to learn the hard way because we're going to take over, and your ass is going to be at the train station while the train is gone. You're going to be standing on the platform wondering what the fuck happened while you're scratching your ass.
Yep. There it is.
That is. That's right.
Yeah. Well, I had to get it all fired up before we
it's okay. This is the place to get it all fired up.
That's right.
Yeah, with the sisters. Yep.
And everybody listening, like she said, you got to tell your friends and your family, get your ass over there to vote. I'm in California, so my 40 million votes doesn't matter, you see, because we have an electoral college. So most of our votes are in the shitter. It's all those other votes in those 3 or 4 damn states that count for everything. Those are the states where literally everyone's vote will count. Yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that 8 million votes don't matter is just, to me, insane. The only thing I might think about doing is I might bring a case to the Supreme Court. Like, electoral college is unconstitutional. I don't need a lawyer. I don't need an attorney. I don't need a law degree.
You don't
know. Just tell them. The electoral college is unconstitutional. It is a national election, a president of the country of the United States, and every single person's vote does not
count.
That's right. It should count, and it does not. That is unconstitutional. And I'd like to see what Clarence fucking Thomas says about that.
Don't go down that road. We ain't got enough time for that one.
I got words for him.
Buddy.
Yeah.
I'd say, I've been having those uncomfortable conversations, trying to have as many of them as I can, because, I look around in my community and there's so many people who have been and this is like the last thing, I know you got to get out of here. So, there's so many people who feel like they have been so let down, right, by our system, that what's the point? And, I still have these conversations with folks every day. And my thing is, like, I don't care how you feel. Our ancestors died for this right to do this. Like, I'm going to do it anyway. Because I got them looking over my shoulder right now. It's a slap in the face.
Yes.
And for your black ass to exist and talk about you don't care about whether or not you're going to vote, and these people went through the hell that they went through just so you could be here. I can't. I don't have patience for it.
Can't do it. So, yeah. Agreed. They have to, because they're living today and they don't realize, what people went through in the past, and they're not tuned to that. That is the biggest and the best argument about it. It is a process. The democratic process is a process. It's a very large, cumbersome, clumsy, overburdened process. That's what it is. It has to be babysat every single day, all the time. That's what this process is. Nothing is going to happen that quickly. You can't get 5 people to agree on where to go to lunch, for God's sakes. And you've got millions of people trying to figure something out. So the analogy is that the democratic process is like a garden. You plant the seeds in the garden. You have to fertilize the soil, right? You have to get rid of the pests. You have to weed the garden, right? You have to tend to the garden, trim the plants, cull. You have to do all these things to make the plant, and you cannot let it go. You have to keep at it and keep at it and keep at it. And those folks who think that nothing's going to change, it will change over time. It's just not going to. It's not going to happen overnight. And if they are not participating then it's going to take that much longer.
Exactly.
Right.
They can run for office themselves, or somebody else can run, and you can choose candidates that you think can make those changes. And eventually those changes will take place. It is simply not going to happen overnight. Nothing in this size of this country, with global economies and politics going on at the same time. This is all, it's a big beast, man. It's 300 million people that all want to do something bloody different. Good luck with all of that. It's going to take some effort to get on people on board, and they have to be motivated to do so. I don't know what else to tell them, to get them to go out and do it. But I can understand that they're frustrated. And, but it's today in 2024, right now, it's better than it was in the 1950s and 60s, man.
That's right.
We are represented on the media.
Right.
We are represented on the media. In this case, the entertainment and the television and films, they are way ahead of society. Well, more or less. They are pushing the envelope.
Yes.
They are pushing the envelope, and they are pushing it hard. I think we talked about it in Vegas that, you see commercials now and everything else, gay, black, mixed race, everything, interracial couples. I grew up not even that long ago. You never saw that. You didn't see that on anybody's commercials. And that's an indicator right there. When they're selling stuff to everybody, and they want everybody to buy it, and everybody's represented, so that these young people see that on television. And again, it just goes, it's like, it's normal. It's regular. Nothing to see here. You can't put that back in the box either.
That's right.
That attitude is fixed. So
it's always pushback on progress.
Always push.
Yeah. I mean, that's when you're really doing the right stuff, is when you get the serious pushback, like you've hit the nerve.
You hit the nerve. Yeah.
You hit the nerve. And that's when you got to double down and keep going forward, stay that course. John Lewis said, get in that good trouble, baby.
Get in that good trouble. Extended families, mixed families, single mothers, everything is represented now. So, and everybody
and normalized. That's the key.
Normalized, and that is also, that is the key. And that's what moves us ultimately forward. And it's just a matter of time that we will, I say, politically evolve. We may, if we're really lucky in our lifetimes, get a chance to see the Electoral College abolished, if we're lucky.
Hope so.
You've got to put the people in power to make those decisions. The people in power are the ones that can make it happen. It's Congress, basically, and a president to sign it. If it's not a constitutional issue, it might need some ratification, or it might need 2/3 vote from Congress. If that's the case, you got to put a lot of folks in there to make it happen. It's a constitutional issue, and it's a big one. You change that, on Monday, and the whole landscape of politics changes by Thursday.
Automatic.
Automatic.
You'll have
automatic.
5-6 different political parties, people running for, in 5 or 6 different political parties. It'll be a whole smorgasbord of folks coming in.
Unfortunately, that's why it'll never happen.
Ah, my God. Yeah.
I think it's going to happen.
Too many people benefit from that electoral college. So it's something that you got to get a whole different mindset of people running politics. You got to get those people in there, like the progressives and people who are not, you got to change the way people think about power.
Absolutely.
But I think that we're getting there, though. I think that we're in one of those progressive moments, one of those step moments towards that, because like I remember talking about electoral college when I was in college and telling my mom, like, we got to get rid of this electoral college. And everybody I said that, and especially like a daughter of DC, and all of our friends are political people, was like, oh, like I said, the worst thing, like I came out, like I had a second head on my shoulder or some shit, like, oh, there she goes. There goes that to me again. She's always different than everybody else. She's a radical, I mean, but that's how people were thinking about it and talking about it. But now you have these very same people that were all pearl clutching and shit when I said it, that are talking about like, we really need to get rid of the electoral college, like they're being all intellectual and about it. And, really need to get rid of it.
But I never thought
because they just saw what happened. Because they just saw what happened.
And excuse me,
I never thought I'd see a black president in my lifetime either.
No, that's absolutely
never
true.
thought I'd see that. So I think things are going to,
yeah. And we're about to make history again in a minute. But
yes, we are.
I don't see how getting rid of the electoral college is progressive. All we're doing is allowing all these other votes, 8 million plus, to actually count. It's a one person, one. It's the only election in the entire country where it's not one person, one vote. Right. I mean, it's the only one, and it's the biggest one. I mean, it's for the presidency. Okay, look, the president doesn't have all that much power. President can't do a whole lot of shit, man.
That's right.
They're just the leader of the country. What is it called? 5 fingers in a pen at the end of the day.
Right.
Okay. It is the Congress and the Senate who makes the laws. And their elections are one person, one vote. So you're still going to have a Congress and a Senate that can send a bill to the president to sign or not sign. But a president, they're there for 8 years. They're the president, they're leader of the country. They got some purview for foreign policy and some other things and a couple of executive orders, and we're out of here. And they're running an administration. I don't understand why they would be so fucking bent out of shape because it's, this person, that person, when the Congress is really the ones who are going to pass those laws. Those are the ones who make the laws and make it happen. And the presidency, there's no reason why we couldn't have a couple of extra parties, independent party or the Green Party, whatever the fuck party, with 8 million votes that we can choose a candidate, and you can set it up where it's the runoff. When you have a runoff, you have you have to have 51% or something or other. You can set it up so that it's, that somebody with 32% wins and that's it, or it can be that you have 2 people that have a runoff and they have to get at least 51% or whatever it comes out to, and you can do that. I think you could do that. And it would, and I don't see that as being progressive. But then everybody's vote counts, man. It's not fair that your vote doesn't count. That just doesn't make sense to me.
And the fact that we got to do all this damn work to get one person in the office to get all those electoral votes, I mean, because the fact of the matter is that even though we know we have those states, those huge states with all those huge amount of electoral votes, those other teeny ones count too. Like those little bits of electoral college votes, like they add up and count too. So we really do have to do the work for everybody to vote. Like I mean, we really cannot fuck around with it and be like, don't know. Like every single one of us has to vote, even in DC, that has like one electoral damn vote. We got to vote.
And no senator, and no senator,
and no congressperson. Yes, like with taxation
without representation. I knew it was coming.
Right there.
It's on our damn license plates. Taxation without representation. People, it's what we fought the damn Revolutionary War for. Hey, DC people.
Somebody saw it as a district and just wrote it off. Oh, really?
Yeah, which has one of the largest tax bases in the country. We pay more taxes in this little ass city than the majority of people in the United States, period, hands down. But we have no representation in Congress. Okay, now I'm really off. Now, like we gotta end this on a high note, y'all, because like that's a whole nother conversation. Woo! So, if y'all want to talk to me about DC statehood, we can hit me up offline. You don't think that shit isn't racially motivated? I got another thing for you. Because I tell you, the first time when we get a white mayor in this city, guess who's going to get statehood?
I am looking forward to this election cycle. I do believe that. I do not believe the polls, national polls, are that close at all.
Me neither.
Not at all.
I don't believe it. I don't buy
not
it.
At all.
The odds makers came out today, and it was Kamala 58 to Trump 41. Those are the numbers. Those are the numbers I believe are real. That
Vegas numbers.
Yeah, those are. You have to get 60% of the country in order to be president. You got to win 60%. And that's how it's done. And she's damn near at that. With the odds, she's there with that 58. So I believe that more than anything else, because the freak has lost votes since 2020. He's lost votes. His own party people aren't voting for him.
Right.
I mean, his own Republican Party folks aren't voting for him. So when your own party people aren't even going to vote for you anymore, you know something's in the toilet. So I can't see, given that you've lost that many demographics, including your own party members, in some cases, that you're going to be that close to her in that. That's no way. There's no way in hell. There's no way.
I'm saying, and Linda pointed it out in the chat.
Yeah, man.
Hillary was up 11 points 1 week before the election, so like I see that. I know we got big momentum right now. I'm encouraging everybody to keep that momentum going, because I cannot have another Hillary.
Yeah, but
y'all, I'm not going to wake up. Okay. I'm not going to wake up the next day and find out that the person that I knew was going to win was not winning.
Yeah, Hillary did. Hillary still didn't have the momentum that this lady has.
No.
She also didn't have Comey coming out 10 days before the election talking about her email.
Right.
That violating the Hatch Act that he never had to. Nobody ever pressed him on the Hatch Act. He violated. Literally broke the law. Not a single word. Not a peep. Not a hearing. Not a nothing. For violating a federal law, the Hatch Act. So she didn't have Kamala. That's not going to happen. Hillary had that to deal with. She also had the Russians hacking the DNC.
Yes.
And it's always, they're always trying to break into the DNC. What is up with that shit? It's always,
I know, right?
These fuckers they just cannot do anything, on a level playing field. They have to jerk it around and screw it around. So once they hack that,
the Republicans give them everything.
Well, no, because the Republicans cannot fucking win. They cannot win anymore. They cannot win. They're not the popular party. Once they hacked them and gave away all that information with the Bernie voters, okay, I had an argument with a African-American woman right in front of my house, a millennial. I was arguing with her about Hillary versus Trump. And she saw both of them. What was that? Both of them as being the same.
Bernie voters.
Yes, she was a Bernie voter.
That was Hillary's problem.
Yeah, that and Comey. That and Comey.
And Comey.
It doesn't matter what her points were ahead of time. Right. She had Comey, who screwed her 10 days before the election. And they knew it. They knew it was over. And then you had the hacking of those elections. So people like this lady that I was arguing with right in front of my house. She was no, dummy. She was fairly bright, but she was a Bernie voter. Yep. And she was upset, because of all that crap that, and Bernie was running on, So at the end of the day, those people did not show up to vote. And more of Trump's people showed up to vote. And that is all it came down to, was a handful of electoral votes in those 3 states. And we did not come out in force because they voted for Jill Stein or this, that, and the other thing. And that was it. It was a fraction what he won by. So there is a difference between that and this. Yeah.
And then the last thing I want to say is everybody vote early. If you have the option to do early voting, do your early voting. Do it as soon as possible. Y'all don't leave it to the last day. There's a lot of shiggity going on with as we've talked about with the polls and people pulling, and double check and make sure you are registered to vote.
Yes.
There's been, I can't tell you how much shiggity these people have been pulling while we've been sleeping.
Yeah.
Okay. So double check, make sure you're registered, and vote early if you have the option. Vote early.
That is the best advice. Absolutely.
They tried to take early voting away here. They couldn't do it.
What state is that?
I'm in Virginia.
They tried to take away the early vote there?
Mm-hmm. They tried to take because the Democrats control our house, our state legislators, and they voted it in early voting, and they tried. Our House and our Senate, local House and Senate, are both Democrats.
Right.
Our governor is Republican, but they got in there and they tried everything they tried to do. The Democrats slapped them down because they couldn't get past the House and the state House and the state Senate, and they tried to take it away.
Yeah.
That was in Virginia. They tried, but they didn't succeed.
They did not succeed.
They did not succeed because they couldn't get the votes.
Well, all eyes are on Georgia, so we'll see what happens there.
Yeah.
That place is like that's bananas down there, man. I don't know.
That's
off the chart with the craziness going on down there. So, and I got the lawsuits have been filed against them, so we'll see what happens.
Right.
You know why they even got in those positions, I don't know. And Kemp is now looking into it, I guess, and the Secretary of State, I think, might have said something about it. I don't know, whatever. But that's. Those, and I don't know the John Lewis. There's the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, and there's Bill, and there's the other one. There's two, isn't there?
Yes.
Do they have language in there? To me, the language in those bills, quite simply, and I mean 2 sentences, needs to be that no law in any state, in any county or any state, anywhere in the country can be passed that hinders anyone's ability to vote. Period. That's all that that line needs to be in those bills. You cannot pass a law that makes it more difficult or hinders anyone's ability to vote. Simple as that. Because all this shit is that.
Right.
That's all it is. No more voter suppression bullshit that you just made up. No more of that. That needs to be the core of those laws, that you cannot hinder or make it more difficult for anybody. No law can be passed to do it. As a matter of fact, if the law is passed, it needs to be making it easier for people to vote. Right?
Yep. Right.
Because that is the one thing they do not want.
Nope.
They don't want that.
Right.
They don't want that at all, because they know that, you know, the Democratic vote is big. It's bigger, growing every day. It's growing.
Yeah. We're going to show up. We're going to show up. The women, and y'all know what else? There's a lot of so-called Republican women are going to go in that voting booth and vote for Kamala. They're not telling their husbands, but they're going to do it.
They stepped in it. They stepped in it. They got it all over their shoes, and they can't get it off. They cannot get it off. They stepped all in it, man, trying to babysit some fraction of their stupid ass party.
Right.
Stepped in it.
Well, that's how they lost their party anyway. So, you know,
you know, they're supposed to be political wizards somewhere in there.
Somewhere.
They're supposed to be brilliant. They're supposed to be this and that. And you can't look at a simple set of data to tell you which way to go. Yeah. You're going to go upstream like that against all the shit that everybody wants: gay marriage, abortion, all that stuff. That's the other direction, and you're trying to go upstream. So what are they doing? So you're kowtowing to a handful of billionaires and/or the Christian right wing. Thank you very much, and sit your ass on the side of the fucking corner with a dunce cap on, because you're gonna lose with ignorance like that. Stupid. That's it. I cannot wait.
You can't wait till election day when we find out that
I can't wait until they choke on Kamala's win. I cannot wait.
That's right. That's right.
See, that's what I'm talking about. Man. Choke on it. I want Fox News to be just pissing all over themselves.
It's going to be those bars on Fox News with the sound.
No, wait a minute. They'll be covering. Let's see. They'll be doing a different story. Let's see. It might be gingerbread cookies, neutral gingerbread cookies in Scotland, or that was a Tucker Carlson piece while something was happening they didn't want to cover.
Wow.
And the other one was the sex life of panda bears. I think they were covering that.
Oh my God.
Those are stories that they ran while there was some shit going on that they didn't like. That was not good for them.
Yeah.
So they'll be covering some story. They made up some shit that they'll be covering. I don't want to talk about this at all.
Oh my God! Oh, I love you. Oh my God, I love you.
Looking forward to it. We're going to be in the street. We're going to be in the street out here. We were in the street in 2020.
Oh, you damn skipped it.
We were dancing in the streets, man. Dancing in the streets in the middle of the day. It was just glorious.
Another song.
We're gonna be dancing too. I know. It's another one. We're gonna be dancing too all over this country. We're gonna do this, and it's gonna be awesome. And we're all gonna celebrate together. And you know what, folks? I know. I just looking at the chat, it gives me so encouraged. You know, I know that we got people coming in from all over the country for this chat, and I know that these are people with energy and excitement and ready to roll. So you know, if this is just a sampling of what's going on out there, then we got this. But we got this, but we got to make sure we got this, right? You know, like,
you gotta do work. You gotta do
work. And then we got to make sure it's like such a big victory that there's no way in hell that anybody can contest a damn single thing.
Yeah.
Ever.
Absolutely.
Like, so all of my ally friends who are out there who were not raised being of a certain color, I need y'all to be like us, and you got to be
or a certain gender.
Or a certain gender, you got to be 3 times as good to get just a third as far. You know, like you got to do it to the T, baby.
Yes.
The whole thing.
And I think I want to go back just real quick. I know we want to end, but there's something that you said about doing the community action. And you got to do the little things. Make sure that the people that you see, you know, if they need to get to the vote, if you need to get a carpool, get people, older people to the voting, early voting. Just make sure people are taken care of when it comes to voting. Check your registration more than once. Make sure it's up to date. Even after you vote, make sure you can check. So if you do early voting, you can check on your ballot. Just make sure you do those checks and balances. Make sure that your children are registered, you know, because a lot of times when our kids go to college, we forget about that. They have to be registered where they live, and they need to put in an absentee ballot. So please make sure that that's done. My kids would just come home to vote. Thank God they weren't going to school too far away. But just make sure that those are little things that you can really make a difference in.
Huge difference.
Yeah.
They have their absentee ballots.
Yeah. And
that's a
like
big one.
Yeah, the absentee ballots and like you said, helping people get to polls. You know, I know you just read JR's one. I read it too. Fox News, when Kamala wins, koala bears are adorable, but have chlamydia. News at 5.
Oh my God!
And on that note,
that's the way we're gonna end it. We're gonna end it right there.
Yeah, we're done.
On that note.
Yeah.
Look, Tim, thank you so very, very much. I mean, like we went over, and I was trying so hard to keep us on track, but we really appreciate you. Thank you.
It was the spindles that messed us up.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure. Thank you, guys. Yes. It was a lot of fun. It's you know, I marinate in the stuff every day, as you guys do as well. So, you know, it's going to come up, and it's always a topic, and I'll jump in with both feet without even thinking twice. So awesome. Only, you know, primarily I'm almost 70. So I have a reference point, and I know what normal looks like. And as long as it's abnormal,
my favorite movie.
I've got to say something about it, right? It has to. It's. I know this is not right. I know it's not normal. I know it's not. You know, it's off the rails, and I have something to compare it to. You know, like I said, somebody born today does not have that reference point. You know, they don't know what that was like. So they only coming into the world thinking this is routine. No, it's not routine.
This is totally
hardest thing.
Yeah, this is not right.
Not even close. So, you know, that's why I do marinate in it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It is what it is. We'll see what happens day at a time. There's not that many days left. We're getting there, pretty close. Yeah. So we'll be there, and we'll see what happens.
Yes.
Yes.
And we love you guys too. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. Thanks for all the fun in the chat and all the great comments and being such a fantastic community. And that's it for us, y'all. Peace, love, and hair grease.
Very good. Take care, guys. Have a good one. Thank you. Bye-bye.